you and I, we immediately became friends. We have great energy together, and probably separately as well. But we just like, "Wah," and it was wonderful. And you embraced me, which was so welcoming. And you had me on your show because you had a Facebook group at the time, One Woman's Voice, and you invited me on there, and you just kept in contact with me. And do you know what, Leslie? You really inspired me, and I want everybody else to meet you. So you are on my little show now. And yes, so I want you to introduce yourself, Leslie, and what are you up to now?
Well, thank you for inviting me. Claudia, it's so wonderful to see you on screen. We were very close, and then let's see, right before COVID, I got booted off Facebook. So that big group that I had, One Woman's Voice, that I had monetized and really built a wonderful community. Uh, Through no fault of my own, I was cut clean from Facebook. And so I went over to LinkedIn, which I hadn't been in a while, but I've been recommending my clients go over there because people make more money over there. It's more business-like, but I wasn't following my own advice. So it was very difficult, Claudia. In the beginning, I missed everybody terribly when you build a community, but there was a magic gift. It was the unexpected gift of getting all my time back. Because what I didn't realize I was doing, I spent pretty much every day in my Facebook group. Right. And so my time was in the group. On LinkedIn, it's nothing like that. It's not at all. Groups aren't big or whatever. So what I'm doing now, and 2.5 years ago when I left, I, began to rebuild what little I had in LinkedIn. And over the last year and a half or so, every Monday, I do an audio room, Mind Over Matter. And I don't think Facebook has this, but audio rooms are a little like Clubhouse, but a smaller group. So it's almost like, thoughtful people. LinkedIn's, the communities there are different than Facebook, different than TikTok, different than Instagram. While it's opening up to entrepreneurs, it's still more professional. There's not a lot of bad stuff going on there, almost none of it. So we can hear the bad stuff anywhere, anytime. So I like working on LinkedIn, and every Monday at 10 a.m. to 11, I do Mind Over Matter Monday, and we talk about how to get control over our thoughts, which is right up your alley,
Oh, it
right?
is.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. And then Fridays at 10 a.m., I do a live stream like this, and I teach Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. And for those of you who remember me, over the last 16 years, I've studied that book 90 times. I've taught over 20,000 hours. And actually, I was thinking the other day about the thing we did during COVID. So I'm very happy where I am. I got my time back. And so I get to spend more time with my grandkids, who are now all driving, which is pretty scary when they were little, not too long ago. But bring up what we did during COVID. You reminded me that when we were all stuck at home, you and I did some fun things together. So tell your group about that.
Well, I will. I didn't do it, Leslie. You did.
Oh, you
did.
I couldn't have done it without you. You did it. You did it.
I didn't. Leslie, it was, so I think it was after COVID, because you must have been so popular on the Facebook that's when Facebook booted you off, because it was when during COVID, you did a thing on your Facebook group, One Woman's Voice, and you invited a lot of entrepreneurs to talk about what they were doing. And we did something like 12 weeks at a time. And once a week, we would be on showcasing what we did. And we did like a small lecture. It was up to 20 minutes.
Well, it was actually, if you remember, it was a study, a course,
Yeah.
12 weeks. So you had to have the content. And so
Yes.
you would train, once a week live. And the whole goal was to move these 12 training videos that you did onto YouTube. So we had a goal to create content, right? It kept us busy. And then everybody learned how to do live streaming. They got over there, right? Didn't you get over your nerves, the technology and all of that?
I tell you what, the worst thing that I had to get over was
What?
listening back to my voice.
Ooh.
It's kind of creepy. That kind of like, oh, do I sound like that? Oh, is that what I sound like? Is that what I look like? It's like, because I use my hands a lot and I still speak way too quickly. And I remember you saying to me, slow down. I don't think that's ever really happened. I get far too excited.
Yeah.
And however, what was lovely was that we all had a little partner in crime to make sure that we were accountable to each other.
Yes.
And mine was Robin Thomas, and she has been on here talking, and again, she's a great friend of mine, and we collaborate, and we are there for each other, and I love that. And that was again from you, Leslie.
Okay.
And Kimball, she was just on the this
We
week.
did it too. What we did was we took 2 business quarters during COVID when we were all stuck at home. And so we did 2 rounds. So we had it was almost 30 people in those 2 12-week, and we had a backstage, right? I made a practice room, right, where the place we had clothes and dressing rooms. So it was like a game, really. But we did this. So the schedule went out, and the best part is that you were at the same time every week for 12 weeks. Now, you may not know anything about going live, but I'll tell you, everybody, Claudia was the one who took advantage of the practice room the most. So when you have all these people, but this practice room was private. So you could use that anytime you want to do a live where no one could see, but you could test yourself. And Claudia was always in there, right? And by the time we got to the 12th week, she was still doing it, but so good. And then we did it again. And then there was another group. So these were women who had content, who had enough content to do 12, I think it was 20 minutes, how much, 20 or 30 minutes, and each week. But then there was another group I was managing, Triangle Business.
That's right.
Whatever it's, I don't even remember now, but there were some 5,000 people and they weren't networking. So I did the same thing with them on those 2 quarters, but they had 20 minutes to showcase their business. And Kimball did that one. She did that one and she did the content one. So that was to keep the Triangle business owners in front of each other, since we couldn't meet and we were all home anyway. So that's what I got the idea. It kept me busy, but there were totally, I think there were 40 people who learned how to go live, and they got good at it.
Absolutely.
So it was so
fun.
fun.
And it's all down to you. You did it. And Robin has a podcast now. There's so many people who are, took advantage of it and just thought, well, yeah, I can do it. And so what's the worst thing that will happen? Nobody will watch you. At the end of the day, and somebody might, and it may make their day, and it'll be whatever it is, and
you get over your nerves. In my 12-week program, anybody who's interested, and you've known I've been doing this work for a long time, but we do 12-week goals. And a couple of quarters ago, I had a woman who was open to business at an international consortium of healers. She was going to have it in a building, right? A brick and mortar. And she lives in the west coast of Canada. Gorgeous part of Canada. And then COVID came. So obviously that wasn't going to work, right? To have it right located in her town. So she opened it up internationally. And that's one of the things about the pivot that everybody was talking about. Her original idea wasn't going to work. Well, she's very shy and
Mhm.
not a public speaker. Very, very quiet, not like me, and not even like you, right? She's very, but and so her goal was 12 weeks of interviewing the practitioners that were part of this consortium for healing, and which reminds me, I will connect you with her because your hypnosis work, by the way, promote Claudia. I've worked with Claudia, and she is amazing. So if you ever want to get into hypnosis, you do want sessions with my friend Claudia. She is masterful at what she does. Anyway, over 12. So in the beginning, this gal, held her paper. You could tell she was reading it. Her hands were shaking. She wasn't looking into the camera. She was worried, uncomfortable, just like anybody that has a fear of public speaking, which most of us do because
Mhm.
we fell on our faces when we were kids, public speaking. And even to this day, they say that the biggest fear over everything else and over death is public speaking. So anyway, the goal was for her to do 12 in 12 weeks lives promoting her healers, the healers that were part of this consortium. Now, it was a new business. And the reason she chose that goal was because they were investing money and we didn't have enough clients yet. So the idea was to promote them. Well, I have to tell you, over the 12 weeks, now she's a pro. Oh my goodness. If you looked at the first and the last one, and in the meantime, it's been a couple of quarters and she continues. So don't you think that it was the consistency and, committing to 12 weeks, which is a lot, but not really that much? Do you think? I mean, that's what keeps me going is when I have something planned out, like you do this every Friday,
Yep.
right? Do you think that the consistency of the 12 weeks, when we did those two 12-week rounds of creating content for people to live by, to live happy lives by, right? Because I know that's what you're doing.
Yes.
Is that where do you think that the consistency and the planning of 12 weeks rather than let me just do it once or twice comes in to building confidence and literally getting good enough to share your message without the worry of all the technology? What are
I
your
think
thoughts on that?
I think it's paramount. I think consistency, showing up, is the most important thing, and I live by that. Every day, it becomes a habit. A habit becomes a ritual, and it's just what you do, and then it becomes your beliefs, your values, and consistency. I don't mind saying is one of my values, and and it's just something I do. I show up for myself every day as well. So it's just what I am.
Were
And
there
so
times when you really didn't want to? Was there a time during the 12? There wasn't. Okay,
no,
good.
no, I had it. I mean, literally, as soon as you said we need 12 weeks, I sat
Yeah,
down, I wrote stuff for 12 weeks. I had a
that's
plan, I
right.
had a mind map, not a problem for me. You then said, who wants to do it for another 12 weeks? Yeah, because actually I could do it, and I could have done more. So yes, it's I could talk forever. So yeah.
You and me both.
So I'd never had a problem with content. People,
Right, right.
it's
That
not a
was the
problem.
thing. You had to have enough content. So,
Mm,
but in this woman's group, there were women in there. There were quite a few that were expert in their field. They had worked in it at least 10 years.
mhm,
So you have the content. You could go ad hoc. So you could
mhm.
actually do that in your group. But I will tell you that since I've seen you, I'm up to 9 books, and the 10th one is coming out this year in July. And
Wow.
it's my first fiction, and it's a fantasy and a love story. And it's
Oh,
all about spirituality and it's loaded with parables. And I'm already working with my publisher. So I'm really excited. This is the 10th. This is fiction. So this story really culminates all the work I've been doing in personal and professional development over the last 16 years. So it's kind of like my final ta-da, if you will.
hurrah. But
Hurrah!
can you,
Ta-da.
can you tell us a little bit more about that then?
Oh,
So, are you, can you? Is
yeah,
it
sure, 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 sure. So it all began 20 years ago, 25 years ago, and you'll hear people talk about writing a book and then putting it away for years,
Mm,
right? Oh, I did that 20 years ago. And you'll hear about people resurrecting these old ideas and manuscripts for whatever reason they put them aside. And and right around 2000, I opened a chocolate company in the mountains of North Carolina. And it was a truffle company. And my dream, I didn't know anything about chocolate, but my dream was to have a candy company in a chalet in the mountains of North Carolina. And so I did that. And that's my work, is visualizing, creating what I want, and then achieving it along with my clients. So I worked full time. And what I did was every weekend I would drive 4 hours up to Asheville and 4 hours home Sunday night. And while I did that, it was such a boring drive, right? I went into my imagination and through visualization created an alternate planet, a planet that was habited by souls, a planet that was created through a baseball game had by the constellations in the sky. And one of the balls that was hit, which was called a sunveret, and it blinked in the sky, disappeared. And it got lodged in the axis of an oblong shaped planet that already had two suns. So it became the third sun. It made the planet inhabitable, and they all, two of the suns rotated, but the third one didn't. Now, that planet had the right amount of light and dark to grow natural truffles, and the elixir inside the truffles promotes wealth, health, and happiness. And because we had a planet now that was viable, the gods decided, well, we've got to inhabit it. So they picked 6 male spirits based on values and virtues and how they live their lives, and 6 female. And each one of the groups had a strength in a virtue: justice, honesty, integrity. Then they connected one male and one female with 2 different virtues. Their offspring had the mother's
mm,
virtue, the father's virtue, and then their own. So that is how errata, it's called the possibility of errata. But the whole story starts in San Francisco with a girl working in a chocolate shop.
wow. Oh, I love it. I love it. And can you
It's
see
so exciting.
your creativity, focused attention, utilizing your imagination? That is what hypnosis is. And
Oh, yeah,
do
yeah,
it,
yeah, yeah.
do
And
it
and here's the best part.
perfectly.
This book is not just a self-published book. I have engaged proper publishing team because I want it on Netflix. There are 12 episodes. Netflix, Hallmark. There's a new Favio, right? Favio's kind of old, the one that we've been worshiping all these decades. He's an old man now. We got a new one in this, and his name is Van. So get ready for.
I'm so excited for you. I love this. I just love it.
You
Right.
will love this book. I can't wait. And maybe you'll help me when we get
Of
ready
course
to
I
launch
will.
it.
Of course I will. Well, I'll have you back on. We'll
Okay.
do this again because that's just like, that's just brilliant. I love it. You're so funny.
But
Honestly.
see, it sat for 20, 25 years because it was also a love story. And it was at the time when my marriage of 33 years had broken up. So while on these travels, I created the outline So I didn't actually write the story, but I wrote about the topography and the environment and the game and the symbolism. So I got like everything together, right, in an outline with 12 episodes, but I never wrote it until a year ago. And somebody has a platform, and I was able to churn it out in 12 weeks. And it got published week by week by week online. Now it's time to turn it into the book. It's the book that we all want now, that it's a culmination of emotional intelligence, understanding the mind, using story, right, to create the parables, and that there is a better way for all of us.
Absolutely. And I'm all about emotional intelligence.
I
This is
know.
exactly what I coach my clients on, emotional intelligence. So, yes. And, Leslie, it's been, I love you to bits. I do. So, but it is time for us to go. And I will definitely have you back on here again because I want to know about this book. And so, and of course, I'll just, I'll spread it out there. And when it's on Netflix and when it's in the movies and goodness knows where else.
You can say you knew me when.
I know. So that's what's so exciting. So, oh dear, I love you to bits. Anyway, everybody, have a wonderful day, and it's goodbye from me, Claudia Ricard,
And goodbye from me, Leslie Flowers.
All right, take care, everybody. Have a
Bye.
wonderful day. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.